Hey guys, just finished watching The Flash, Season 4, Episode 18, Lose Yourself. This episode was a really good episode. It was a really interesting episode. It really was heavily involved with the whole storyline of the season. As so far has 9.2 on IMDb, and I would agree with that. 9.2 is really good episode. Definitely going to give it a 9. So we start off this episode with Barry telling Ralph we don't kill type thing, don't no killing and all that. And Wells, we find that Wells is ends up making a tuning fork, a super tuning fork that can attack and hurt DeVoe, and because it's not technology, he can't hack into it, so that's pretty cool there. And then Joe starts to get worried a bit about Harry and about how he's using the thinker hat a little too much. Caitlin is talking. We find out that Caitlin is talking to Killer Frost. And that she's not actually like hearing her thoughts in her head. She's leaving like notes all over the place. But that's kind of cool with that. And then we get Gauss. We find out that the next Edwin Gauss, the last meta-human to find, is a teleporter, just like DeVoe, that he can go in between different dimensions and stuff. And it's a really interesting idea playing with that. And then we find out that Harry is addicted to. Again, Joe gets his suspicious confirmed. Harry's addicted to the cap. Caitlin ends up getting stabbed by the robot samurai when they're out in the woods. Barry rushes her home, and then that's when Ralph sees the DeVoe's message in the helmet, kind of pushing him towards this whole episode. Ralph decides he wants to kill DeVoe. And then Gauss we find out that Gauss has already gone there. He accidentally gone there before, so he's able to go there. So, and then he's able to go there. And then Harry ends up losing it over the thinking cap to Cisco. And Joe was the one who actually took the cap from him. Barry stops Ralph from using Gauss and going and killing DeVoe. Flash, Five, and Killer Frost end up going for DeVoe, and they get there and they realize it's a trap. There's just a holographic version of DeVoe there, and DeVoe shows up at Star Labs. Wells decides to overload himself with all puts the helmet on, plugs Gideon into it in the secret room, which Joe ends up seeing him do it. But we don't get anything more on it. He overloads himself on there. We don't get anything more of that till the end, where we find out that DeVoe actually ended up taking the over. All the dark matter, and he ends up taking it for himself. So we don't know how that affected Wells, and what did Joe see DeVoe do that? Because DeVoe doesn't have super speed, so how would Joe and Wells not have seen him grab that stuff? That's one thing. Maybe he does have memory stuff, so maybe he just kind of froze them in place. They stop moving and then delete the time from their head type thing, just like deleting from a security camera, but using telepathy and stuff like that. So it would be cool to see that, but it would be cool to find out a bit more as to where things, how come Joe and Wells didn't see him take the stuff. How did he do that without being noticed by anyone, even Gideon type thing? And then DeVoe takes over getting Gauss. Ralph turns his hand into the tuning fork and decides to attack by taking the shape, because he originally had put it inside of his chest. Which, when he did that, when he was fighting Barry, he puts the tuning fork in his chest, and it's like, that's not going to stop Barry. He's just going to run up, vibrate his hand, grab it, and pull his hand out. There you go. I don't see why that wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't do anything, and it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt Ralph, because he would just form around it, type thing. And even if he's making his body solid in that flash time, whatever, when he's doing that, then it wouldn't really hurt. It wouldn't hurt him, because it would just form around it, so he'd heal right from it. And I think as long as Barry doesn't stop midway through, it wouldn't hurt even a regular person if he had to pull a bomb out of that was secretly put inside of someone type thing. Barry could just grab it and pull it out. So I don't see why he even did that. Now I get later on that he wanted to get the imprint of it, and by holding it there, he could really feel all the nooks and crannies of it, and then he could save the impression and keep a memory kind of the way the shape of it. I think that's an interesting idea, and I was really cool with that. But it wouldn't have stopped Barry from grabbing it. So Ralph turns his hand to a tuning fork and ends up attacking DeVoe, deciding whether or not to kill him. Iris is fighting the mechanic, and she ends up stabbing herself in order to send her off and let Barry and Killer Frost and Vibe come back. DeVoe ends up taking over Ralph, which that one, I guess, I'm not sure if I saw that coming in this episode. It's really going to be interesting to see how things go with this whole Ralph storyline. And I obviously don't want them to kill him off. I mean, obviously he's still around. Now he looks like DeVoe and all that, but it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not we get to see him back, because I think it would be really cool to see Ralph come back. I think Ralph would be really cool, once he's done over on The Flash. I think it'd be a really cool character to throw over to Legend of Tomorrow and interact with those characters. And I think I really would love to see Ralph, a person like Ralph's opinion, what he was going to think about during the big crossover next season, since we know this season, this has been, Flash has been confirmed for season 5, and seeing the big crossover and everything else has been set out for another extra season. The big CW crossovers that we get once a year, having Ralph a part of it is really going to be fun to see that. This year he wasn't really around. I think he was around for it, but he wasn't a part of it. They left him out because he was just brand new to his powers type thing. And now that he has all of his time underneath his belt and he's matured, and he's not killed DeVoe in this episode when it probably should have, because it would have saved his life if he's dead. But we'll wait and see if he's dead, because so far in the show we know that characters are dead, the metas are dead when he discards of the body. So I'm assuming that because he doesn't discard the body, and he says it was his last one, and he prefers this body because it's the one that could kind of his mind, I guess, kind of stretched as he gets overpowered, as he gets smarter and stuff, whereas the other bodies were kind of disintegrating, whereas this one's just kind of stretching to it. Which is going to be interesting to see that and play with that with DeVoe. So DeVoe takes over Ralph, and he has all access to all of Ralph's memories and training and stuff. That's pretty much, and then DeVoe just kind of takes off with Gauss's powers and just kind of teleports away. Barry runs off, Kate, and then when DeVoe takes over Ralph, she ends up fighting everyone, fights Survive and Flash, and sends him flying and all that stuff, and sends Caitlin flying. When Killer Frost attacks him, he touches her and he turns her powers off and reverts her back into Caitlin Snow. And later on, we find out that Caitlin is permanently Caitlin. Killer Frost is no more after DeVoe touched her. Now, I don't know. I hope they give her back her powers. Maybe they're going to do it. They're doing a different way where they don't want to have the two personalities or something. But Killer Frost was so perfect right now. Like, they finally got her to the right point where you had Killer Frost and Caitlin Snow without separating the two characters, and you didn't have, it wasn't just giving Caitlin the freeze powers, which would have been a bit of a cheap stuff, because you still have the different personalities, which was a fun thing to play with, and they were just, getting along, getting accustomed to this, and now they just kind of pulled it out from us. That's like, I mean, I hope that she gets her powers back by the end of the season, but at the same time, if she does get her powers at the end of the season, I feel like it's kind of like they're just doing that just so that you're taking away her powers just so that they don't have that as the easy answer for the end of the season type thing, or they're taking away her powers so that she doesn't have it for the end of the season, for the final battle, to make Team Flash that much more. Like breaking down the characters, just like over on the Avengers, did Civil War to split up the Avengers before Infinity War, so the Avengers are not even talking to each other going into Infinity War. It makes it that much more difficult for them to come together and fight Thanos type thing. So I think this is the way they're doing it on here, is depowering Team Flash by depowering Caitlin Snow, and it's an interesting idea, and I can't wait to see how things are going to go with that. But I really don't. Let's see how many episodes are 18. How many episodes do we have left? We're going to not many episodes. We're going to 23, so we have about 5 episodes left here. So, I don't know. Maybe at the last episode she can get her powers back, or maybe next season she can get her powers back. We'll have to wait and see where things are going with this. But hopefully she gets her powers back, because this is kind of disappointing how things are going. I mean, there's still that dark matter stuff, so it's going to be interesting to see how things kind of go with this. Things kind of come back to her. If they're able to revert Disney and give Ralph bring back Ralph one type thing. How they're going to do that for Caitlin. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with this, but hopefully they don't really I'd love to see her get her powers back, because it was just so perfect. I would not have done that if I were them, about keeping her Caitlin maybe permanently gone type thing. Now maybe if things kind of take over, maybe her powers kind of revert themselves and build themselves back up, that could be an interesting idea to start over again for next season, just like they manifested on their own before, but we'll have to wait and see how things go for Caitlin. So after Barry took off, he ends up going to Ralph's place, ends up cleaning up. Ralph's apartment, his office, and cleaning up all the stuff that he wouldn't want people to see and stuff. When his landlord probably is going to go and shut the place down, and Iris offers to help, and he's like, no, I just want to do this on my own. He doesn't even do it at super speed, just does it normal speed type thing, which is interesting with that. Does it take up less energy for Barry to do that? Does he break a sweat if he runs at, let's call it Grant Gustin's speed? Does it make it easier for him? Does it make it, because he could just take that moment and make it last very long and do it in super speed, and to him it would be the same. He's just doing it at super speed, just like when we got in that Flash Time episode type thing. So who knows? It would be interesting to see how things going with that, playing more with that idea about how it kind of works out. I mean, obviously in the Flash Time episode, he started, he was sweating and tired by the end of the episode, so it's a little bit more difficult than it worked for him, but it's interesting to see how things play around with the whole him wanting to be slow just to be slow type thing. And then we find out that DeVoe has the dark matter from the Wells. So when Wells had the helmet on and had Giddy overload him with dark matter, DeVoe captured that dark matter. Now we don't know how he captured that, because when we saw him going in there, and we saw him going in there earlier on at the beginning, and then Joe saw that, and then later on when he runs in there, Joe was actually fighting the samurai, so Joe didn't see that. But still, how did Wells not see DeVoe there capturing his stuff? I mean, DeVoe's not a speedster. He can't move faster than people can see, although he could walk in there and then just erase Wells' memory of that, and then maybe using his tech powers to also erase Gideon's memory of that. But it's interesting to see where things are going to go with this. How they kind of explain how he cut that stuff. It would be cool to see a little bit of a flashback of how he got that without being noticed, since we saw him the whole time there, talking to Ralph. So it's going to be cool to play with that and see how things are going to go from here. So all in all, this episode was a great episode. Like I said, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Definitely can't wait to see where things are going in next week's episode. Although the trailers for next week's episode show that we're going to be getting Captain Cold back, or we're going to get Leo, Earth X version of Captain Cold, which is going to be interesting to see that. It's going to be fun to have him back. But at the same time, I kind of look at the episode and they're dealing with that green guy who kind of has full of nuclear powers and stuff, which is, I forget if he was a character if he was a bus meta part of DeVoe's plans or not, which even if it's not, it looks like DeVoe even took another character's powers from Null's powers, who was in the pipeline. So it's going to be cool to see where if DeVoe decides to take his powers. Hopefully we get DeVoe trying to stop this. The reason why they're moving this character is just because DeVoe wants him, but based on the trailer for that episode, it looks like it's another filler episode, and with only 5 episodes left, they can't afford to give us a filler episode, so they need to just keep going with this storyline. I can't wait to see where things are going. And so far in the past few episodes that I thought, this is going to be a filler episode, and then it kind of disappoints me just seeing the trailer like that. Like the trailer for the week before kind of it gets me annoyed because it all looks like a filler episode, then ends up not being a filler episode. Kind of like was it Legend of Tomorrow's that Barack Obama episode? You look at the trailer and it goes, oh my god, it's just going to be a garbage filler episode, just wasting our time. And then you watch the episode and that's all they showed was the filler parts of the episode that were not that were just tidbits in the episode that were not, the whole episode was not a filler episode. So I'm hoping that they can do the same here, that the 20-second trailer that we saw that is out now is really just the frosting on the cake, just to divert our attention. So hopefully next week's episode can be full on DeVoe related, and DeVoe can be full on in the episode. I'm hoping we can see that, and we can see where things are going to go from here. But it looks, on the surface, it looks like a filler episode, but since we're so close to the end, I don't think it will be. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. What do you think about it? Season 4, episode 18 of The Flash. Lose yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.